Stop treating AI like a vending machine. Look, we need to have a very serious, very grounded conversation today about how we're actually interacting with artificial intelligence. Because right now, there's this massive systemic illusion happening across almost every industry. People are walking up to generative AI, typing in a prompt, getting a highly confident output, and just assuming that productivity or worse, actual thinking has just taken place. We literally have to stop treating AI like a vending machine where a prompt automatically dispenses the truth, That isn't intelligence infrastructure. That's just cognitive recycling, and honestly, it's incredibly dangerous. So today, we're going to walk through a framework that was designed specifically to fix this. It's called the Personal AI Operating System, or PAIOS.
And this really gets to the heart of the divide we're facing right now. On one side, you have the default state for most of us, the vending machine mindset. It's a total dopamine-driven loop. You paste a chunk of text, you ask for a summary, copy the output, and move on. It gives you this immediate feeling of cognitive relief. But here's the catch. Nothing compounds. There's no preserved context, no map of your actual thinking, and absolutely no verification. Now contrast that with operational infrastructure. This is a governed cognitive architecture. It puts verifiable sources first, it demands human judgment, and it keeps you, the operator, firmly in command. Because the future, it's not going to belong to the people who just ask AI the most questions. It's going to belong to the people who build operational infrastructure around their AI to protect their own reasoning.
So why do we default to the vending machine in the first place? Well, it all comes down to this concept known as the human gap. Basically, modern institutions are demanding machine-level consistency from us biological humans. We're talking permanent responsiveness, endless context switching, a barrage of notifications, just overwhelming administrative load. Let's be real. Our nervous systems were simply not designed for continuous interruption paired with permanent informational excess. And this is exactly where the real threat of AI sneaks in. Because the defining danger of this era isn't that machines are going to get too smart and take over like some sci-fi movie. No, the real danger is that exhausted, overwhelmed humans are just going to quietly surrender their reflective judgment. Why? Because letting the AI do the thinking for you feels like relief.
I want you to really let this question sink in for a second. Are you outsourcing your memory or your judgment? Because dependency in the AI era, it rarely arrives by force, right? It arrives through convenience. It starts innocently enough. You skim an AI-generated summary of a really critical report because, hey, you have 47 unread messages, and it saves you 12 minutes. It feels super efficient. But over time, that convenience slowly becomes your infrastructure. You stop verifying things, you stop questioning, the tool becomes a dependency, and suddenly you realize you can't even reconstruct your own reasoning from 3 months ago without reopening a document and asking the AI to explain it to you again. At that point, you haven't just outsourced a task. You've essentially surrendered your cognitive sovereignty.
Let's look at how this actually plays out in the real world, under serious pressure. These are real case studies from the source material. Take the fragmented executive. This was a senior VP who, under immense time pressure, accepted a hallucinated regulatory timeline from an AI. And it wasn't because he wasn't smart, it was because he was operating under the accumulated fatigue of like 14-hour days. The outcome of that? $38 million in unexpected compliance costs. $38 million. Now contrast that with a disciplined operator. This was a mid-level analyst dealing with a very similar level of fatigue, but they applied a mandatory 22-minute cooling-off protocol and ran a full pressure test on the data. They caught an artifact in the numbers and prevented a $2.7 million misallocation. The difference here isn't raw intelligence. It's the presence of a structured, governed protocol.
Which brings us directly to the solution, what PAIOS actually is. And I want to be perfectly clear about this. This is not a folder system, it's not some quick productivity hack or a prompt pack pretending to be a deep philosophy. PAIOS stands for Personal Artificial Intelligence Operating System. It is a rigorous structural framework for your cognition. It mandates evidence mapping so you know exactly which source supports which claim. It enforces governance before you ever get an output. Basically, it builds a workflow where AI is treated as a reasoning layer, but the ultimate decision accountability and that crucial cognitive sovereignty remains entirely with the human operator. It's all about keeping you in the driver's seat.
Now, what's really fascinating about these 6 pillars of the personal governance layer is that they aren't just motivational techniques, they actually function as deliberate interruptions. When you're tired and you just want to accept the AI's answer, these steps literally force a pause. Step 1, source before conclusion, meaning every claim needs a clear chain of evidence. Step 2, retrieval before generation, grounding the outputs in verified material, not just letting the AI auto-complete your thoughts. Step 3, human override authority. The AI advises, sure, but you decide. Step 4 ensures everything is auditable. Step 5 mandates pressure testing against ambiguity. And step 6, emotional regulation, is absolutely paramount. You have to terminate critical decision-making during high-pressure emotional states, because cognitive systems fail psychologically way before they fail computationally.
And this isn't just theory, okay? PIOS is a fully documented, tangible methodology. It operates as a literal field manual for surviving the modern cognitive environment. The goal here is absolutely not to replace human thought with machine assistance. The goal is to preserve coherent human thought while we live and work alongside these increasingly intelligent systems. It provides the actual mechanisms, the protocols, and the institutional architecture you need to build cognitive resilience and long-term adaptability. It's an operational doctrine and is designed specifically to be used when you are under pressure.
And because this whole issue of cognitive preservation is so incredibly critical to our collective future, the creator of this system has made a really definitive decision about who gets access to it. I want to read this directly from the source material because the gravity of it is just essential to understand. I am giving away the entire PAIS system because the problem is bigger than one product. People need a way to use AI without surrendering their judgment. This isn't about walling off knowledge behind a paywall. It's about making sure that every single person has the structural defense mechanisms they need to operate safely in an amplified informational landscape.
To make this as actionable and accessible as possible for you right now, there's an interactive environment where you can actually study this exact framework from the inside out. You can jump in, ask questions, pull up summaries, and directly map out how this operating system functions across the different layers of your own workflow. It's an amazing way to practice the governance we've just been discussing by interacting with the architecture directly. The public Notebook LM link is available in the description.
Look, we're at a critical juncture right now. These tools are only going to get faster, they're going to get more capable, and they'll become even more seamlessly integrated into our daily lives. But raw intelligence without structure, it will eventually collapse under enough complexity. So the ultimate takeaway here is this: if AI is becoming part of your work, your learning, your decisions, or your future, do not just use the tools. Build an operating system around your judgment. Start with PIOS. Seriously, do not let convenience teach you to stop thinking.
I'm going to leave you with a stark reminder of what is actually at stake for all of us in the years ahead. This is not about replacing people with AI. This is about making sure people remain in command. Build your infrastructure, govern your intelligence, and protect your ability to think. The tools are already here, so who is going to be doing your thinking tomorrow?